We are in Masechet Pesahim. Do you realize how much we've done? We're on Daf Nun Chet. Noach, Nachat. We are halfway through the Masechet, Kimat. We are aiming for Aleph Nisan Desium. It's Chaf Chet of Adar. And we're going to do it zusammen, together with the birthday of Rabbeinu. No? Not some good idea? Maybe Numan, Bezrat Hashem. Uman Chanukah, whoever wants to come, Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so we're speaking about now the Korban Tamid. Now, by the way, we're switching now. Till now, we're speaking about Matzah, we're speaking about Pesach. Now we're going to Korban Pesach. Because Korban Pesach is one of the big parts of Pesach. And Bezrat Hashem, we need to know the Arachot, because Bezrat Hashem, we're going to be able to do Korban Pesach Od Hashana. Now, it's important to know, since we're discussing Korban Pesach, we'll discuss Bichlan, the Korbanot that happened every day. So one is called the Tamid. Every morning there's a Tamid, and every afternoon there is a Tamid. The Tamid is a communal offering that every year, which is the next Masechet that we're going to learn, Masechet Shkalim, a short Masechet. This is a long Masechet, 120 pages. Shkalim, I think, is 28 pages, something like that. A few short Masechet coming up. Shkalim and then Rosh Hashanah and Yoma. So Shkalim is every year in Adar you would start giving money. The money is going into the Lishkan, the Beit HaMikdash, and that's used every day to take money to buy a korban. So every day when there's a korban in the morning, afternoon, it's actually you have a partnership in it. So you can understand the benefit that you have by having the Beit HaMikdash. If we would know what we're lacking, we would go crazy. We're lacking a purity every day of a korban being brought for all of Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael was on a huge level. So we need one in the morning to clean up the night, and we need one in the afternoon to clean up the day.
Is it like taxes?
It's like you pay a membership for sure. Yeah. So you pay a membership to have a part of the korban, you know. Okay, when is the first korban? The tamid is the first thing in the morning and last thing in the afternoon. All the extra korbanot that are happening in the day are between sandwiched in those two. So if you are, the Beit Mikdash is open for business every day. People show up and they bring all kinds of korbanot. A shlamim, I'm happy with my life. I want to give a shlamim to Hashem. No good reason. I just love Hashem. I want to be here. You have a todah. Todah is something good happened to you. You have a Yolnedet, she had a baby, she vowed that you have a Zav, people were impure, people did an Avera by accident, you bring a Korban, a Chatat, you're not sure if you did an Avera, being Asham. All this is services of the Beit Mikdash, you got to get a cleanup. So you get there and you go to the Kohanim and you're giving it, and the Kohanim take care of it, but it has to be done. There's a lot of people, could be busy days, could be short days, depends on the time of the year. You know, what's the up season and low season in the Beit Mikdash? It happened also. Closer to the Chagim, after the Chagim. Okay, so the only exception is what can be brought after Korban Pesach, after Korban Tamid is the Pesach. The Pesach offering is the only thing that can be brought after the Tamid, that's it. And Korban Pesach, don't forget, we are, let's say, 50 million Jews, so you have Chaburot, each, let's say, 10 people will have one Korban Pesach, maybe 20 people, because you got to get a kazait of meat from the sheep. So let's say 20 people, so divide, I once made a calculation, how many Korban Pesach there must be? 75,000 Korban Pesach. You know how many people have to be there to bring the Korban Pesach? You know, I'm busy. Huh? 50 for one? Oh, that could be true. So let's say 50 for one. So divide 15 million by 50. Let's say it's only adults above 13, and let's say it's women also have to eat it. I think they have to eat it as well. So let's say 10 million. Give me 10 million divided by 50.
10 million?
200,000. So you got to bring 200,000 korbanot in a Pesach.
How is possible now?
So obviously it was a miracle. Obviously, and by the way, back then it was less Jews. And obviously it's a miracle. Like, how does the Teva of Noah fit all the animals? It's not possible. In Jerusalem, it's not even room to fit over there. But you see that there was a miracle in the time, and there was a system organization also. It was 3 different groups. So one group comes in. It was like better than shiners, you know, like it was Misudah. They're very Misudah over there. And it's not so fast. Shecht, there's a lineup, you know, a lot of things are happening there. Korban Pesach has to be brought. Now we're going to discuss when each Korban was brought. So what we said in the Mishnah is, I want to repeat what we said yesterday in the Mishnah. And today our Amoud is Nun Chet. Even though we went into it yesterday, I'll just review what we said yesterday. So, in general, the Korban of the morning is brought first thing. That's, let's say, after the nets. I'm not sure. Could be not the shacham. Not sure. But the second one is brought at 8.5 hours into the day. It's shechted and brought on the korban at 9.5 hours in the day. Don't forget that the day is 12 hours. So 6 hours before noon and 6 hours after noon. These, of course, are zmaniyot. If it's a long day, a short day, an hour could be more than 60 minutes. It could be less than 60 minutes, depending on if it's a summer day or for a winter day. Now it would be less. It would be, let's say, 50 minutes or 45 minutes for an hour. So Chatzot Yom, after that, at the 8.5 hour, we shech the tamid. At the 9.5 hour, we bring the tamid. There's a 1 hour leeway over there. That's the second tamid of Ben Arbin, of the afternoon tamid.
It's just one animal, right?
Yes. Mina Torah, you can bring it after. Why do we do it at that time? Why do we do it then? So we give ourselves some leeway if something messes up before the nighttime. Okay, so we have 2.5 hours till the night. But we also go 2.5 hours after Chatzot. Why are we doing that? Because we want to let people who came in the morning, if they come bring your korban, there's a big lineup over here. So we want to give time for all the people to bring their korbanot and not put a cutoff. So we give them 2.5 hours into the day in a general circumstance. So far so good? When it comes to Erev Pesach, what is the halakha? What do you do Erev Pesach? So Erev Pesach, you have another factor. I don't know that you have 200,000 people coming to bring in the afternoon after the Tamid. So we bring it up 1 hour. We bring it at 7.5 hours, and we shecht it at 8.5 hours. Okay, that's on Erev Pesach. Whether it's on, the Mishnah says, weekday or Shabbat.
So the Korban Pesach is shecht when?
After the Tamid of Ben Arbin.
After the second Tamid.
Yes, it's the last thing after the second Tamid. So we're going to bring the Korban Tamid a little bit earlier to allow the whole afternoon for all the people to come bring
You still
Korban.
have to roast it.
Yeah, and you got to roast it. Now you can roast it at night.
You can roast it into
Sure,
the night.
on Yom Tov you can roast it. Okay. So,
Unless it's Shabbat.
so now we're getting to another problem. Now what about on Shabbat, regular Shabbat? What do we do for the Korban Tamid on Shabbat, a regular Shabbat? Well, it's not written in the Mishnah here, we're going to discuss it, but there's no nedavot to bring. Really, you should bring it right away, because there's no people coming, lining up. On Shabbat, there's no private korbanot. There's only one tamid. It's a very off day for the kohanim. Well, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So you should really bring it early, but still, it seems to be maybe we're going to keep it standard. But what's that standard? One more variable is that, so let's say it's a regular day. Let's say tomorrow's Pesach. So we're shechting all today. Let's say Chatzot is 12, and they go to 1 o'clock. They bring the tamid. 1:30 they bring the tamid, and then everybody starts bringing the. It's 2:30 they finish the tamid, and then we have the whole rest of the day start bringing our korban pesach. But what? And then we can roast it. You have the raw meat, no problem. Roast it at home. On Yom Tov you're allowed to roast, right? So there's no problem.
Everybody would bring their own Korban Pesach?
Sure, and it's chaburot. We're going to discuss all this. You have to be signed up for a certain korban. Meaning, let's say you're going to buy one sheep, but you're a small family, 2, 3 kids. This kid they have 16 kids in the family. So 2 neighbors could get together, or family could get together, or family is 1 korban. Depending on how many people you have, how many korban. So let's say 50 people. We do the seder, 50 people together, a few families. It was like uniting people. It's not enough, huh?
But on Shabbat, is the Tamid performed or not?
Yes. Yes.
So the VR of the Korban Pesach.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very interesting.
Interesting,
Oh,
huh?
wow.
Yeah. Like there was tents with 50 people, and then they would like designate who was going to take the Korban, and then all the designates would go to the temple, and they would check them in.
You realize that when Mashiach's going to come, they're going to use internet and AI, and it's going to be like sign up mirosh, and which it's going to be all over. It's going to be.
The real miracle is how the Leviim were singing the entire time.
The living room was singing the whole time. Well, they have shifts. They had shifts. That shifts in the year. Okay, one more thing to discuss before we're going to go in. One more thing is that Erev Pesach, okay? Erev Pesach, that has to be Erev Shabbat. Now you have a problem. Imagine today's Friday and tomorrow's Pesach. So what's the problem? Not only you have to shecht it in the day, you have to roast it in the day. Because since tomorrow is Pesach, you can't roast the Korban Pesach. Shabbat, you can't roast it. So we need to go a little even earlier. So that means we do at 6.5 hours the Tamid. And once we finish the Tamid, we bring it at 7, then we do the whole rest of the day, the Korban Pesach. I want to read the Mishnah one more time for you to make sure that's all clear. Tamid nishrat b'shmona u'mechetza. Regular weekday. Nunchet at the top of the page. A Tamid is brought at shmona u'mechetza, 8.5 hours into the day. B'karev b'teisha u'mechetza. Now we give 1.5 hours to do the whole job. So it's shechted at 8.5 hours, and it's burnt at 9.5 hours. You want a Gemera, Natan?
No.
Chazan. Okay. The Gemara says, "Be'arve Pesachim nishrat." Now, Erev Pesach nishrat b'sheva u'mechitza v'karev b'shmona u'mechitza. Shechted at 7.5 and brought at 8.5. So we bring it up 1 hour on Erev Pesach because we have 2 things. We don't go so early because there's still people bringing the davot in the morning, and we don't go too late because we still want to give afterwards the people to bring Korban Pesach.
What does it mean, kerev? What does that mean?
Karev. It's brought. It's offered. It's burnt.
Offered.
Yeah.
So
Umechitza, shechted, okay? Umechitza, ben bechol, ben b'Shabbat. This rule is whether Erev Pesach is Shabbos or whether Erev Pesach is Chol. So again, even on Shabbos, which is Erev Pesach, we're going to bring it at 7.5 hours, and we're gonna shecht it at 7 hours, and we're going to bring it at 8.5 hours. Chad Erev Pesach liot be'erev Shabbat. Now, if Erev Pesach is on Friday, and like I told you, that we have to take into account that people need to get home and roast their Korban Pesach to make it ready before Shabbat, which is Yom Tov. Nishchat b'shesh o mechitza. Now it's shechted at 6.5 hours in the day. B'kareh b'sheva o mechitza. And it's going to be brought at 7.5 hours in the day. V'pesach acharav. After that, we bring the Korban Pesach. Let's go a little bit lower. We're in the middle of the page, Tanu Rabbanan. A little bit lower than middle. First word is Tanu Rabbanan. Kisiduro, you see it? A little bit low. Like a little bit, more than halfway in the middle. Tanu Rabbanan. So it's Taf Resh. Tanu Rabbanan. And this is an ambiguous, non-defined statement. So what we're going to have now is we're going to have a Braita. It's not clear what the Braita means. It's a Braita that's saying a machlok between Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva, who are contemporaries, who are living at the same time. In the time still the Beit Mikdash. They're living in the time of the Beit Mikdash. It's not clear what they mean, and we're going to bring 3 opinions in the Amoraim to explain what they meant. Okay? So try to hold on. Tanu Rabbanan ki siduro b'chol kach siduro b'Shabbat. Not a clear statement. Whatever we do in the week, we do on Shabbos. We're talking about the Tamid, of course. We're not sure what we're talking about. We're talking about the Tamid, okay? Divrei Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Akiva omer ki siduro be'erev Pesach. No, we do like Erev Pesach. So just to be clear, whatever we do in the week, we do on Shabbos. Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva says Erev Pesach. We don't understand what that means. That's too cryptic and coded. So my kamar, the Gemara says, Amar Abaye achi kamar. So first opinion, we're gonna have 3 of them. We're gonna have Abaye, Rabba, and Rabba Barav. Who I think? Achi kamar kisiduro bechon be'erev Pesach. Okay, what do we do on Erev Pesach if Erev Pesach is today like a Monday? What do we do then, and what do we do in the winter? We said 7.5 hours and 8.5 hours. Kach siduro b'Shabbos, b'Shabbat, be'erev Pesach. So even if the Shabbat falls out on Erev Pesach, so today's Shabbos and tomorrow is Sunday, and we need to bring the Tamid and the Korban Pesach. We bring the Korban Pesach on Shabbat. So you do it the same way. It's 7.5 hours and 8.5 hours. Now there's a problem with that, okay? Why do we do 7.5 hours? Why won't we do it? Because you can bring the Korban Pesach, you can bring the Tamid right away at 6.5 hours. Once it's a little bit more than half into the day, you can bring the Tamid. So bring the Tamid and then bring the Korban Pesach right away. Why are you waiting till 7.5 hours and then to 8.5 hours? Why are you doing that? Well, usually what we do in the week, because people in the morning, there's a lineup of people, so we want to give them a little bit more time till 7.5 hours. But on Shabbos, there's no people. So why are you doing that? That's the question. Rabbi Akiva says, don't do that. Ki siduro be'erev Pesach, shechal liyot be'erev Shabbat. So really, the Shabbos of Erev Pesach, we can compare it to the Friday Erev Pesach. Kach siduro b'Shabbat. Kach siduro b'Shabbat. So really, the whole discussion, according to Abaye, of Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva, is what do we do on a Shabbos Erev Pesach? Okay, we know what we do on a weekday Erev Pesach. We knew what we do on an Erev Pesach, which is Friday, but what do we do on a Shabbos Erev Pesach? Again, on a weekday Erev Pesach, we bring it on regular weekday. Okay, again, regular weekday, 8.5 and 9.5. Erev Pesach weekday, 7.5, 8.5. Erev Pesach Friday, 6.5, 7.5. Good. What do we do with the Shabbos? Do we go 7.5, 8.5, like Monday, or do we go 6.5, 7.5, like Shabbos? Rabbi Akiva says you go like the weekday, and Shabbos and Rabbi Akiva says you go like the Friday. Umas Nisin.
What was the question?
The question is, what did they mean in this funny braita? There's a funny braita that says what does that mean? We just know a braita. We're trying to figure out what that braita means. The braita says, whatever you do in the week, you do on Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva says Erev Pesach. That doesn't make any sense. So Abaye says, here's what it means. We know what we do on a Monday Erev Pesach. We know what we do on a Friday Erev Pesach. What do we do on a Shabbos Erev Pesach? So Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shmuel is going to say you go like a Monday, 7.5, and 8.5. And Rabbi Akiva is going to say you go 6.5 and 7.5, like the Friday. Rabbi Akiva makes more sense. The truth is, because why delay it? Do it right away. Go early. There's nobody waiting in line. Why on Monday do I do it at 7.5 hours? Do it at 6.5 hours. But don't you see? There's 100 people. There's 1,000 people here in line to bring their korbanot. So I'm going to give them 1 more hour and I'll give enough time. But on Shabbos, there's nobody in line. So go early to allow people to have more time for Korban Pesach. So why is it that why is Rabbi Shmuel saying what he's saying? And now, by the way, so if we say this, so when we go in our Braita, umasnisin dekatene ben bechor ben b'Shabbat, Rabbi Shmuel, because our Mishnah clearly said that Erev Pesach, whether it's a weekday or whether it's a Shabbat, 6.5 and 7.5. So our Mishnah is clearly Rabbi Shmuel. So what's the machloket here? The Gemara says, "B'may kamiflege, b'musafin kodmin lebazichin kamiflege." Really, the machloket. Why is Rabbi Shmuel going 7.5? Because it depends. What do we do with bazichin and musafin? Let's just explain that every day you have also a korban musaf. Not every day. On Shabbat we have 2 extra things that don't happen in the week. We have the splitting of the lechem apanim, and we have korban musaf. Korban Musaf, we daven Musaf every Shabbos. Why do we daven Korban Musaf? Because on certain days there's an extra Musaf. By the way, on the days of Musaf, you have an extra chelik of the neshama. It's a holier day. On Chol Hamoed, on Chanukah, on all these days, on Rosh Chodesh. These are days where you have an extra chelik of the neshama. It's similar. The Korban also is that. On Shabbat we have a Musaf. On Shabbat there's also something else. As you know that every Friday, every Shabbat Kodesh, there would be new showbreads. There was bread in the Beit Mikdash on a golden table, which was, I think, 4 or 8. How many levels were there over there? 4 times 2. There's 8. And over there, there's a little compartment, a little box where we put frankincense inside. It's like a levona. It's like an incense, and you actually burn it. And so what happens is we put the new one on Shabbos. The new Kohanim come in on Shabbos, they switch, and we take the old ones off, but we only take the old ones off. We take this frankincense, we burn it, and then the Kohen can eat the rest of the bread. So that's part of the setting on Shabbat. The question is, what comes first? Korban Musaf or the Bazichin? Switching the bread can be any time, it doesn't really matter.
Bazichin, what is that?
Bazichin is you read it every day in Abaye. Abaye Abba Misadeh.
Yeah.
Okay, Bazichin, Musafin. So what is Bazichin? There is Lechem Panim. Lechem Panim is showbread. Showbread is allowed to be eaten by the Kohanim. It's only eaten, it's there the whole week. So you come in, you're a Kohen, you start working. When you start working? On Shabbos. Okay? You're there, you're ready to work, you start working. Now, when you come in right away, you bring new bread. The old bread, which was there now at the end of your week, the showbread, you take it off after your shift is finished, you take it and you eat it, and you get bracha she'if shalavin. Tremendous.
That's what it means?
No, that's the bread.
Okay.
You only can eat the bread. Now on the table as well, there's little max boxes of incense, of frankincense. It's called levona, and that we need to burn it before we eat the bread.
Okay.
So you got to burn it before you eat the bread. So the question is, when do we do that? Can we do that anytime, before the musaf or after the musaf? Musaf can only be brought, listen well, at 6.5 hours into the day. The musaf can only be done at halfway point in the day. Can't be wrong. So the question is, if you can do the bazichin, if you have to do the bazichin after...
So what is the bazichin then?
It's taking the frankincense,
it's
burning it, and then eating the bread.
That's done on Shabbat too?
That's done on Shabbat. Only on Shabbat.
Interesting.
That's done only on Shabbat. So the musaf is done on Shabbat and the bazichin is done on Shabbat. Okay. So when is done what? So this is machloket. First big line. Rabbi Shmuel Savar, musafin kodmin bazichin. You have no choice. The musaf has to be before the bazichin, before the splitting of the bread. So when do you do that? Avad kodmin bazichin. Avanu musafin b'shesh. Every day in Abaye. So therefore you have to bring the bazichin at 6 hours. Musaf has to be only at 6 hours into the day. So the musaf can be brought at chatzot yom. Okay, you bring the musaf at 6. Ubazichin b'sheva. And you got to give an hour for the musaf, and then the bazichin can be brought at sheva. And you got to give an hour to be able to eat the bread, to split up half an hour to split up the bread. V'avadehu netamid b'sheva mechitza. So that's why Rabbi Shmuel is saying keep it standard on Shabbos, because you got to bring the musaf. It has nothing to do with this lineup of people. It has to do with the musaf. So on Shabbos, what is it said for Rabbi Shmuel? Musaf at 12 p.m. At 1 p.m. the bazichin, and at 1:30 will be the tamid, and then start the korban pesach the rest of the day. That is Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva savar bazichin kodmin nemusafin. And Rabbi Akiva says no. You can do the bazichin earlier. There's no problem. So you can only do the musaf at 12 p.m. but bazichin b'chamesh. But do it at 11. Do the bazichin at 11. Do the musafin b'shesh at 12. Va'avidna the tamid b'shesh mechitzah. They give 6.5 hours. 12:30. You can do already the tamid,
hour earlier.
and then 1 hour then you can have the whole rest of the day for the korban pesach. But let's just review that we just said just now. According to Abaye, what is the seder? Don't forget on Shabbos you have the tamid. Tamid in the morning, Shabbos kodesh. Tamid in the morning. Everything is on pause. There's nothing happening until, according to Rabbi Shmuel, until 12 o'clock. That's Chatzot Yom, Musaf. 1 hour later will be the Bazichin, which basically means take the showbread and start to eat it and split it up. Half an hour later will be the Tamid Ben Rabim. Then you have from 1:30 on the whole rest of the day, Shabbat Kodesh, to be able to bring the Korban Pesach. And Rabbi Akiva says, no, you can do the Bazichin before. So don't schlep. Do the Bazichin at 11. Bring the Musaf at 12. To 1 o'clock at 1, and then half an hour later, after the Musaf, you can start doing the Tamid, and then after the Tamid, you have the whole rest of the day for the Korban Pesach. So at 12:30, at
11 and
1:30, exact 6.5 hours.
So the argument is
Let me read that again one more time. Rabbi Akiva said, Bazirin Kodmin Musim Bazirin b'chamesh or 11 p.m., 11 a.m. Musafin b'shesh, 12. Tamid the shesh v'chetzi. Half an hour later, bring the Tamid. At 12:30, you're good to go for the rest of the day.
You have to be after Chatzot.
For the Musaf and the Tamid, half an hour later.
So 1:30 and 12:30.
Exactly right. Now this problem is this, it didn't say this in the Braita. He played with the words.
That's 7.5
What?
hours.
Huh?
That's 7.5 hours. But I can't know.
7.5 hours in a day? No, 6.5 hours in a day. 12 and a
7.5
half.
hours is the meal.
Exactly. And then right away the Tamid's finished, start the Korban Pesach. You don't have to wait an hour. It's done. You don't have to wait. As soon as it's done, we're not going to wait now 1 hour. We could do it in 2 seconds, but usually they give a little bit more time.
No, but you have to wait that the Korban is a sacrifice.
So it seems to be shechte. How long does it take to shecht? Rip it up, put it on the altar, and once it starts burning, you're good to go.
You have 1 hour till it's finished. No?
In general, we give 1 hour because we're not rushing. But in Erev Pesach, it seems to be you do it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be finished to be karev at Tesha.
That's in a regular case, but it seems to be from what I'm seeing over here in Korban Pesach. Let's read the bottom. Let's read the 4th big line. 1, 2, 3, 4 big line, or 3rd big line. Rabbi Akiva in the middle. See, bazichin kodmin musafin. So you can split up the bread before the musaf. Bazichin behamesh, 5th hour into the day. Let's say it's 11. Musafin b'shesh, musaf at 12. B'shesh, v'avid tamid b'shesh u'mechitza, and the tamid that's 6.5 hours into the day. Once it doesn't say over here you have to wait an hour and burn it. Usually you don't have to wait so long. You don't have to do 1 hour to shecht one animal. You get a team of 10 kohanim. It's done in 5 minutes. Shecht it, skin it, right? You never went to a slaughterhouse? I was there. It goes very fast. So it seems in the regular weekday we give a little bit of time, but in the Erev Shabbos, which is Erev Pesach, we got to go zaris. Okay, the problem with that is that's not what it said in the Braita. It said a little bit different. Matkif la Rava. If you remember, let's read it again. Again, what did the Braita say? It said whatever you do in the week, you do on Shabbos, and Rabbi Akiva says Erev Pesach. And so we gave a whole drash over here, but it says Matkif la Rava mide Rabbi Akiva. כסידורו בערב פסח שחל להיות בערב Shabbos katane. It didn't say that. It's going to be Erev Pesach that falls to be on Friday. It didn't say that. He just said Erev Pesach. He says katane כסידורו בערב Pesach. Stama katane. He just said Erev Pesach. Ela amar Rava achi kamar. So Rava says this is what it means. So Rava says, so Rabbi Shmuel is saying standard. We're talking about the Shabbos that we're going either like the Shabbos Erev Pesach is going the weekday Erev Pesach. But he says, what Rabbi Akiva is saying like this. Ki siduro bechol de alma. Kach siduro b'Shabbat. Be'erev ha-Pesach. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. One more time. Ki siduro bechol de alma. What is a regular day? 8.5, 9.5. A regular weekday of a Tamid. It's 8.5, 9.5. Kach siduro b'Shabbat. What do we do with the Shabbat? Be'erev Pesach. What do we do with the Tamid of Shabbat, which is Erev Pesach? Divrei Mishman. You're going to do 8.5, 9.5. So Rabbi Akiva is not going up. Rabbi Akiva is going down. Rabbi Shmuel said 7.5 and 8.5. And Rabbi Akiva is saying keep it as a regular standard day. Rabbi Akiva omer ki siduro be'erev Pesach. Rabbi Shmuel omer Rabbi Akiva, that was, my mistake. Rabbi Shmuel, my mistake. I'm going to read it again, okay? What I just told you is Rabbi Shmuel. Kisiduro bechol de alma. A regular day is 8.5, 8.5 and 9.5. Kach siduro beshabbat. And then what will be the same as Shabbos? 8.5 and 9.5. Be'erev Pesach, when it's on Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel, we're changing him. It's 8.5 and 9.5. It's not like we said in our Mishnah. A regular weekday is 8.5, 9.5. Shabbat is 8.5 and 9.5. And by the way, why do we going to do that? Why are you going to go so late on a Shabbos? Rabbi Akiva, Umasnisin, sorry. Rabbi Akiva omer ki siduro be'erev Pesach. And Rabbi Akiva is going to know we go like Erev Pesach, which is 7.5, 8.5. So the machloket now is switching. It's on tomorrow. Today's Shabbos. Tomorrow is Pesach. What do we do? 8.5, 9.5 for Rabbi Shmuel, like a regular weekday, and Rabbi Akiva is going to go up 7.5 and 8.5.
What's the
What's the reason of the
I'm
machloket?
trying to understand what's their main. One is saying later, one is saying earlier.
Yeah, what's
That
the
I
problem?
get.
We're going to see it right now.
Okay.
Umasnisin the katane ben bechor ben b'Shabbat, Rabbi Akiva. And our Mishnah clearly said 7.5 and 8.5, whether it's weekday or Shabbos, that's Rabbi Akiva. So what's the problem? Why is Rabbi Shmuel going later? Isn't it a problem to go later? There's so many people here. You're gonna do in 2.5. You're gonna do from in a short amount of time 200,000 people. We're scared about the meat rotting. Don't forget, you're doing it now on Shabbos. You can't cook it, so you're gonna take it. You're gonna bring it. You're gonna go back to your place in Jerusalem. You're gonna start until the night cooking it, and it's the preparations for the matzah. By the time you're gonna start cooking your meat, it's gonna rot. There was no refrigeration. There's no ice packs. You're going to ruin it. You can't salt it, or maybe you could salt it if you want to cook it later. I think you're going to ruin it.
You can't cook
You
that
can't.
meat if
It's on Shabbat.
Oh,
We're talking about Shabbat. So there's Shabbat. You're in the Beit Mikdash. You're walking.
Right.
You're walking with your sheep over there.
Right.
You get in. You're in lineup.
Yeah.
People are pushing, and the nanachs are dancing, and it's you know. And then you're going to get over there. You're shaking, but now you take it with you. I don't think it's good to salt meat that you're going to cook right away. Is that true? Does somebody knows? Who's a connoisseur of meat?
Like, I
Huh?
salt after.
Jonathan,
Salt after?
I salt after.
No, let's say I'm shechting, and I'm shechting, and there's no refrigeration. Raw, fresh shechted. And I'm going to eat, I'm going to roast it in 5 hours.
That's what ChatGPT is.
No problem.
No problem? No
I've
problem?
seen it happen.
Now, by the way, you know how hot it could be in Jerusalem?
Jerusalem?
Yeah, you know how hot it could be in that day in Jerusalem?
Right.
Hot day, sweating people, a lot of people. So Rabbi Shmuel saying, but maybe it's not good.
What, salt it right away?
Yeah.
That's what concerns it.
Yeah, but then I'm going to ruin my taste. I don't know. I'm not sure about the why I can't salt. But either way, Rabbi Shmuel says, I'm scared that you're going to have rotten meat, so I'm pushing you later. That's the reason. Rabbi Shmuel savar chayshinan nemichmar bisra. Your meat's gonna rot. So I'm gonna tell you, listen, do like a regular day. Regular day, tamid is 8.5 and 9.5. So do tamid 8.5, 9. Then go on Pesach after. You have 2.5 hours left of the day. Yalla, kvitzit aderech, guys, move it. Rabbi Akiva savar lo chayshinan nemichmar bisra. And Rabbi Akiva is not scared about meat rotting. He's not scared about meat rotting. He's not scared at all. So if that's true, ilo chayshinan. 1 second. So Rabbi Akiva is saying, I'm not scared about the meat. Not like Natan saying, very good, it's good to go. I know what meat is. Nothing's going to rot. So if that's true, so why are you telling me 7.5 and 8.5? Go till 6.5. Go 6.5.
Even earlier.
What is Rabbi Akiva saying? What is Rabbi Shmuel saying? 7.5 hours, 8.5 hours. Regular weekday, 8.5 and 9.5. Shabbat. What does Rabbi Shmuel says? No, go later because the meat's gonna rot. You can't cook it. Regular day, you can cook it. But what is Rabbi Akiva saying? I'm not scared of rotting meat. If that's true, why 7.5, 8.5? Go 6.5. That's what Gemera is asking. You got to do the musa before the bread. Avinu musafin b'shesh. Ubazichin b'sheva. You're gonna do the musaf at 12. You're gonna do the bazichin at 7.